From the desert to the diamond, from the studio to the stage, a Titan education is defined by immersive experiences, research, internships, study abroad. These high-impact experiences yield high-impact people. Cal State Fullerton. Titans reach higher.
Thank you for joining our virtual town hall for students here at Cal State Fullerton. My name is Ellen Trainer and I will be your moderator this evening. Thank you so much for your patience as we work out this new technology and we try to answer all of your questions. I just want to say I miss being on campus so much. I miss the energy that circulates in our Titan community, and sometimes you don't realize how much you love something until you don't have it anymore. And I cannot wait to be back on campus with all of you. Today we have with us President Fram Vergy, Kristen Jasko from Parking and Transportation, Provost Pam Oliver, Amir Debirian from Information Technology, Harry LeGrand from Student Affairs, Hallie Hunt, our Dean of Students, and Greg Sachs from University Advancement. Thank you so much for sending your questions into the email and on social media. We have fielded more than 300 questions, and we have attempted to put them in categories. If there's a specific question that you would like to ask now, we have people live monitoring your questions. Please email it to townhall@fullerton.edu. First, we'd like to welcome President Fram Vergy. President Vergy, thank you so much for your commitment to the students of Cal State Fullerton. This last month, we have been navigating through uncharted waters. What do students need to know now?
Well, thanks, Ellen. I want to start by thanking you, our amazing and resilient students. You have been incredible during this transition. And what we have achieved together in the past several weeks, I think, is nothing short of breathtaking. 40,000 students moving to virtual learning, 3,500 faculty moving to virtual instruction, nearly 6,000 employees working from home, 2,000 students moving out of the dorms, and still about 100 still in need of housing, and we're keeping them there and taking care of them as their home. Our library virtual reference and virtual resource, admissions and financial aid going virtual, supplemental instruction up and running virtual, student success centers up and running virtual, student support networks and co-curricular groups are virtual. We even have virtual free rec center and clubs and communities, and even huge events like this for dispersing information and connecting with each other. Now, none of this would have been possible. None of it would have been possible without our incredible faculty and staff, to be sure. But I got to say, none of it would be impossible also without you, our amazing students, without your resilience, without your commitment, and without your flexibility. As some of you know, as I travel around Orange County and actually the nation, the first thing I always talk about is all of our students, my students. And when I do that, I use pretty bold branding like Titans reach higher and it takes a Titan to describe you. And I use facts to support that stuff. Things like more than half of you are just like me, first in your family to go to college, that many of you are working multiple jobs to support your families, and that our data shows that you, our current students at Cal State Fullerton, have a highest undergraduate GPA in our recent history. Your academic excellence is the reason that our graduation rates are at all-time historic highs. And so I share with pride that among you are dreamers and veterans and parents and former foster youth, community leaders, researchers, small business owners, and that you make us proud as Project Rebound scholars, Big West champions, Male Success Initiative scholars, Titan Formula One racers, award-winning jazz ensemble players, and the list goes on. But I can tell you, I've never, and I truly mean never when I say that, had the phrase Titan reach higher mean more, or it takes a Titan mean more and carry more weight than they do right now. You know, over the past few weeks, I've emailed and texted and tweeted and Zoomed with so many of you. I've spoken with students who are working extra hours and have become the breadwinners of their families, nursing students that have become sworn county disaster relief workers, our university singers who are lifting us up virtually. I zoomed in with our I Am First career readiness students, our first gen students, to listen to their stories. I felt your kindness, seen you and your determination and your support for each other to make the best out of what is kind of scary and dire. I know you didn't sign up for this. Truth is, I don't think any of us did, including our faculty and staff who've been working around the clock to make this radical transition. But given our choices, shut down school, shut down learning, shut down your academic progress, or reach higher and find a way, I think we made the right decision. And we've been reaching higher, and I believe our Titans will all be better for it. And finally, I do want to recognize the tremendous stress and sorrow that some of us are feeling throughout of all this. I'm reminded of the story of a student that contacted me. He works in a local grocery store, and it breaks my heart, but he said that he was working about 20 hours a week, and now he has to work 80 hours a week because he's the primary breadwinner. Mom and dad have lost their jobs. His sister has lost their jobs, and he has to stop out of school. And that breaks my heart, but it's the decision that he has to make, and I respect it, and I love him for it. I know it breaks your heart too. These are your classmates, your friends. Some of you might even be wondering, am I going to have to make that same decision? I hope not. I pray not. And we are here for you. If you have to make a decision like that, just know that we will do everything in our power to support you and your academic journey now, but also in the weeks and months and years to come. I know you're going to have a lot of questions during this town hall. I'm honored to join the members of our senior team here to answer those questions today, but to answer them every day. So with that, Ellen, I'll turn it back over to you, and we should probably start answering some questions.
Thank you so much, President Fergie. We will move right into our questions. We've been getting a lot of them, especially for you. President, will there be a tuition refund, or will students be getting course fees back? If we're in virtual teaching and learning, why are students still paying for face-to-face classes?
Well, first, I want to recognize that COVID-19 has caused health and economic hardship for all of people in our community, in the Titan community, in Orange County, around the country, around the world. People have lost their jobs, students, family members. And I'm proud of the way that we've come together to alleviate as much of that suffering as we can. You know, we provided millions of dollars of emergency loans and grants to our students. We're working on payment plans and debt forgiveness for our students. We provided laptops and MiFi equipment and to our students. And just earlier this week, we created our COVID-19 emergency funds, one for faculty, one for staff, one for faculty and staff, and one for students. And Julie and I have announced that we've committed 10% of my take-home pay for the rest of this year to that fund, splitting it 50% for faculty and staff and 50% for students. My entire cabinet is also participating in that. And I want to encourage all of us, if we can help, we should be helping our Titan family. Clearly, our first order of business is serving and supporting you, our students, to the fullest extent possible. But we as an institution, we're not immune from financial hardship, from the hardships that a lot of people are suffering. In IT alone, we've expended more than $500,000 with laptops and equipment we've been distributing. And at the same time, we've committed to more than almost $12 million in reimbursements for parking and residential life alone. We've also continued to pay all of our state employees, including all of our student workers, regardless of their ability to come to work, regardless of their ability to work. And the list goes on. So we're at losses projected right now at just 20 million so far dealing with this pandemic. So again, I don't say these things to indicate or that there aren't economic hardships for our students and their families out there. It's merely a fact. And the potential savings that we might have had somehow of going virtual, there is no savings. It's been eaten up completely. So it's through that lens that I think that we have to look at the question that you've asked. No, we can't reimburse for students for spring tuition. And there's really three main reasons for that. The first, and maybe the most simple, is we can't do so because it's the Cal State system that sets tuition and decides about any tuition's reimbursements. So that decision would have to be made at the chancellor's office, not at Cal State Fullerton. So I guess I can say we can't do it just because the chancellor's not doing it. But that's really not the only reason. The second reason is even if we were authorized by the CSU to provide reimbursements, we really couldn't issue those refunds because we've already used your tuition dollars, and we're using those tuition dollars right now to pay for our faculty and our staff to provide the instruction and services that we're continuing to provide you. And if we reimbursed you, we wouldn't be able to cover those costs. And finally, and of significant importance, we haven't canceled classes. We haven't ceased instruction. Instead, we continue to hold classes and provide instruction. We continue to provide supplemental instruction and tutoring and counseling and library services, co-curricular activities. So we're living up to our commitment to provide instruction and awarding academic credit and moving people along in their academic journey and graduating. We really can't reimburse, and we won't be reimbursing for tuition for spring.
Thank you very much, President Vergy. I know that finances are a great concern to students. Hundreds of the questions that we received had to do with finances. So if we set aside tuition, we understand that that's the Chancellor's office and that we don't set tuition. What about all the other fees? These questions are coming in about the TSU and the Student Rec Center and student success fees. What is the university's stance on reimbursements for those fees?
So you're giving me all the easy questions, Ellen. I appreciate that. To answer that question, it's important to us to understand the origin and the purposes of those fees. Let's take the Titan Student Union, the TSU fee, and the Titan Rec Center fees. Both those facilities, the TSU and the Titan Rec Center, were built by and are operated using student fees, not state fees. In fact, in reality, it's the ASI, our students, the Associated Students Incorporated, the students that I'm talking to that own and operate the TSU and the TRC, not the university. The student fees that students pay each semester were actually voted on and approved by the students more than a decade ago to raise funds to build those facilities. And the revenues that are generated by those fees each semester and each summer go to the Rec Center and the TSU, and they're used first and foremost to fund the debt payments, the mortgage, if you will, for building those buildings. Without those funds, ASI, the students, would default on those payments and they would miss their mortgage payment, and those buildings wouldn't be able to be operated, and we trigger a financial catastrophe for our students. So when it comes to the TSU and the Rec Center, they're not user fees. This isn't, if you use this facility, you have to pay. In fact, even when we're face-to-face on campus, these fees are charged each semester and every summer to all students, whether they ever step foot in the TSU or the Rec Center. In fact, these fees were actually charged to students who came before our current students when these facilities weren't even built, and they were to help generate the fees to build these buildings, so as ASI could save the money to do that. And we spread the fees across the year, across each semester and each summer, to calculate it carefully to cover the costs of paying the debt service and the charges for these facilities. So essentially, the students are paying themselves for those facilities, and they're not use fees. Essentially, the same can be said for our student success fee that you mentioned. The student success fee also was approved by students by a referendum, and it funds our student success centers and a series of other student activities. These fees pay for the professionals that staff those activities. The fee is charged to students whether or not they're part of those particular activities. And just about all those activities are still open and still being used. Our student success centers, our DIRC Center, they're still open, they're virtual. The faculty and the staff that run them are still being paid and still working there. So we're using those monies to fund the services that students are receiving. So that's really the answer with respect to both tuition and student fees.
Thank you very much. The next question, while finance related, is directed to Kristen Jasko with parking and transportation. Kristen, I know that a lot of students waited in line to turn in their permits and are waiting for their refund fees. What's happening with the student refund fees?
Well, thank you for your question. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for your patience as we work through the process to return the refunds for the permits. Our team is working very quickly, as quickly as we can, to process the refund requests. Due to the COVID impacts and the volume that we received, it is a bit more challenging, but it will take some time to complete all the refunds. But our focus is to get them processed in the order that they've received as fast as possible. We'll begin posting updates shortly on social media, as well as our department website. So I encourage everyone to follow at CSUF PTS on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and to check out our website as well, parking.fullerton.edu.
So the refunds are on their way. That's good to know. Thank you very much, Kristen. Next, we turn to Provost Pam Oliver. Pam, thanks so much for being with us today. On April 3rd, it was announced that the summer session would be held virtually. What is the plan for fall?
Thank you so much, Ellen. And it's wish that we could see the students. We miss seeing you, but I'm happy to answer the questions. It's our complete hope at Cal State Fullerton to have traditional instruction in the fall. But just like many of the universities, in fact, all the universities in America, we're working through the unknowns of the current pandemic. I want to talk specifically about one thing. There were some reports yesterday that reported that I had said that Cal State Fullerton was going to be fully virtual for the entire fall semester. That was a misinterpretation of what I had said, and it was false. So what I did say was that in order to be prepared for all of the scenarios and variables that we face with COVID-19, and again with the goal that we can offer in-person instruction in the fall or as quickly as we can, we were asking all faculty to be prepared to start teaching courses virtually in the fall. And this is a correct and prudent move. The reason we asked them to be prepared to do this was that we wanted to avoid the kind of situation that we had this semester. We had to switch to virtual, and it was required to do that. It was required very quickly. It was required without us having much time to plan. And so we wanted to have to do this with some forethought and thought. For me, the priorities are the safety of everyone in the community, in our campus community, and also the educational success of our students. What we want to do is we want to continue to work and follow the guidance of all of the various health organizations, such as the Center for Disease Control, what the governor says, what the chancellor's office says, and we want to follow the most appropriate path towards opening the campus, again, having the goal of in-person instruction, and we want to do that as quickly as we can. I should mention, however, that one thing that we've learned, if nothing else from the pandemic, is that we have to be flexible, that things can change very quickly.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate your thoughtfulness in your answer. So how will internships and lab-based classes and research classes, how are they going to function?
Well, in terms of those classes, such as research classes, labs, or other courses that cannot optimally be taught virtually, they will be considered a priority for returning face-to-face. And as long as we can follow the safety guidelines. In terms of internships, we have many internships that fortunately are virtual, and they can be done across the summer virtually and into the fall if there's a need for that. But also they will have priority in terms of as long as the safety precautions and health precautions and guidance is followed, they will have the priority for being instituted.
Thank you very much. We recognize that so much is still undecided, and we receive new guidelines or revisions to existing guidelines from health officials. Is it possible to know with any degree of certainty when the decision for fall will be final?
Well, we can't know today what we're going to be facing in August when our classes are scheduled to resume, or how these circumstances are going to change across the entire semester. Nonetheless, what we're trying to do is actively plan now to ensure that we can offer high quality education in whatever COVID-19 scenarios we face. As the facts and circumstances become clear, we will be able to describe the specifics and give a more definite answer. When a student asks the question, for instance, when will I know if my class is going to be face-to-face? I'm afraid I have to give a generic answer, and that answer is, it depends. I know that answer is unsatisfactory to all of us. So let me give you a few specifics. We're planning on having large lecture classes be taught virtually because it would be unsafe to have 200 students in one lecture hall. As another example, we expect lab classes to be able to be some of the first classes that could be taught on campus as long as they're following the guidelines. We want to make sure that the campus will be safe and that we're working with the colleges and the departments to make sure that if there's other courses, we can adjust courses depending on the needs of the students and the needs of the instructional purpose of the course. As I said earlier, when we return to classes or when we return to campus, the classes that will have the highest priority are going to be those classes such as labs, performance classes. It could also be small capstone classes, seminars. They will have the ability to be hopefully on campus as soon as possible. I also just want to remind the students that when they do sign up for a class and it has a particular time that class will be offered, that I want to remind them to save that time in their schedule, because when classes are offered on campus, that's the time the class will be offered. Also, if it happens to be virtual, that's the time that the faculty may have synchronous experiences at that scheduled time. I hope this helps with the answer to that question.
Yes, thank you so much. Several questions have come in regarding specific classes and internships, and I know that uncertainty is concerning students. I think we all hope that you will talk with the professor of your class. Time is not going to allow us to get into every class and every situation, so please talk to your instructor or your advisor about specifics for individual classes. Now moving on to questions for student affairs, we have VP Harry LeGrand with us. How can students get involved with clubs and organizations and participate in the amazing Titan experience when we are virtual?
You're muted.
I'm sorry, Harry, I think that you're muted.
I'm muted. I just realized that.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Ellen. Thanks for the question. Hello, students. We miss you on campus, as everybody has said, and look for your return sooner rather than later. But we actually understand that. So, you know, our real objective, we know that part of being an undergraduate is that relationships you build with your fellow students. And so we've made every attempt to keep as many of our student services virtually available to you as possible. Student Life and Leadership, the Dirk Centers, the VRC, the Women's Resource Center, ASI, MSI, and all of our special population groups are continue to have hangouts and check-ins, and really encourage you all to reach out to our website, which is, we have a couple of virtual ones, fullerton.edu/students, or even the coronavirus.fullerton.edu site. And also follow us on social media at CSUF Students for more information. That information is currently being updated and the opportunity is there. And I can speak from the Zoom sessions I've had with the staff that work in Student Affairs Division. They're all sad. I mean, really, they really do miss the presence of students on campus, and no one got into this business when you're working on a university campus not to be involved with students. And so I want you to know that they really do miss interacting with you. And so really encourage you to reach out to participate in the kind of virtual programs that we have for you. Our Tuffy Basic Needs Service is also, sorry, there was an interruption there for me, I'm sorry. Our Tuffy Basic Needs Service Center and the Dean of Students Office have also developed kind of a COVID virus student handbook that's also available on that site that has additional resources for you. And so I encourage you to keep track and keep looking at the websites, because that's where the most current information is. And that's the best way for you to keep in contact and get in and find out what's going on in your particular club or organization.
Thank you so much. As a follow-up to that, we've been hearing a lot about this CARES Act from the federal government, that Cal State Fullerton is supposed to be receiving $41 million. How will that money be used?
Well, first of all, let me say we don't have the money yet. So don't expect a check immediately. We're still waiting for the federal government to release the funds to the campus. And out of that 40 million, about 50% of it is earmarked specifically for student aid. And so we are in the process now of looking at the requirements that the federal government put forth, as well as the chancellor's office, and coming up with a process that is actually quick and easy and efficient for you to get access to that money when it becomes available to us on campus. Now, the CARES Act also excluded certain students who are not eligible for any federal aid currently in being able to receive those funds. And so we're looking at ways also to help those students who otherwise would not have additional resources. But let me say that financial aid and student business services have been working around the clock to try to figure out the best way to get the money to students once it actually happens. And I should just say that financial aid in March and April have given out millions of dollars in emergency aid and support to students. And so I think our team has been very, I guess not aggressive, but I would say very responsive to the needs that we're hearing out there. And whether that's through the financial aid office or our CARES office, through the Dean of Students office, we've been trying to do whatever we can in helping the students who are most in need.
Thank you so much, Harry, for always putting students first. We have a few questions about technology. We have Amir Dabirian with information technology with us. Can you tell us a little bit about the technology that you've provided to students?
First of all, let me say hello to all of our students and how happy I am to coming to them virtually. I want to tell them that I miss them all. You're the reason I work for a university, and it has created a hole in my heart not seeing you every day. The Division of Information Technology has been working hard to provide all the technology needs for our students. We have provided the student in needs, the laptop, MiFi, mobile phones, and you can request for those through the Dean of Students. It's deanofstudents@fullerton.edu.
Thank you so much for that. We have the Dean of Students with us, Hallie Hunt. Hallie, can you tell us a little bit about what happens when someone sends you an email requesting technology?
Sure. Hi, Ellen. Thanks for having me here. And hi, Titans. I'm so glad to be able to be here to talk to you today. The process for getting your devices is really easy. As Amir said, all you need to do is email me and my team at deanofstudents@fullerton.edu, and one of us will get back to you within about 24 hours with further instructions on how to receive your device. So if you live in Southern California, you'll be able to pick up your device on campus in about 48 hours after you request the device. So it's fast. And if you live outside of Southern California, we'll ship it to you. As with everything else right now, our goal is to make this as simple as possible for you so you don't have to worry about your technology on top of everything else right now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, the detail on that. Back to you, Amir. A question that just came in, we actually have two questions that just came in. One has to do with returning laptops that have been loaned to us at the end of the semester. But the one that that is getting a lot of traction here is Zoom safe to use? We're all in these Zoom meetings, but is Zoom the safest choice?
Zoom is the best application for this virtual environment. All applications, when you're looking at information technology, have cyber risks comes with it. But Zoom, just like any other physical meeting environments, require you to actually do some safekeeping. So what I request the host of every Zoom meetings that really create some of the safety precaution before you're creating a meeting. One of the first things you have to do is make sure you create a unique meeting ID. You can also require authentications for those meetings. That means that people log into the system needs to be authenticated with username and password. You can also, as a host, require people to go into a waiting rooms and get them into the Zoom meeting as needed or as validated. And finally, you can create a password for that meeting so the Zoom meeting is password protected. Once the Zoom session is in place, the faculty member or the individual, the students that has a host of the meeting, have a lot of security features. They can secure the meeting. They can lock the meeting so nobody can come in after certain times. They can also be able to, if there's a participant that being disturbance, you can actually log them out of the meetings. So there are lots of features available to you. If you go to the COVID site or IT's COVID site, you can see all the instructions about Zoom. But the safety of the Zoom is up to the host member that creates the session or a meeting room. Just like any kind of a physical meeting environments, you need to have some safekeeping around it.
Good to know. Thank you very much about safety for Zoom. Are you able to answer the question that just came in about returning laptops?
When we actually provide laptop to the students, we call them a long-term laptops. That means that it's not a one-day laptop checkout. It's actually an entire semester. So all laptops are done, it's checked out entire semester. For this particular semester, at the end of the semester, we will contact the students and make sure if they're continuing students, they can keep the laptop the following term. If they're not, we ask them to return it at the end of the semester.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate you being willing to answer that question on the fly like that. Our next batch of questions has to do with commencement. So we have Greg Sachs with us from University Advancement. Greg, we've been fielding a lot of questions about commencement. How will this look? What do we do if we don't really want it virtually? We want to walk across the stage. Can you tell us the plan for graduation? When you unmute, you'll need to unmute yourself.
It does help when you unmute, doesn't it? Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Thanks, Ellen. I appreciate the question. One thing that we've heard from so many students is that there really is a great interest in trying to have a traditional commencement ceremony, whenever that might take place. And you'll remember, I'm sure you remember that we have commencement is postponed at this point in time, and so I think that's really important just to remind everyone. So with that in mind, though, we are continuing to run scenarios to see how we might be able to have a ceremony at various points. Just the thing that we're always so thoughtful about, though, are the safety considerations that we hear from various health agencies and the like. And with any commencement, no matter what it may look like, any physical commencement, no matter what it might look like, we know there's going to be social distancing requirements and things along those lines. So we continue to run scenarios to see what we might be able to pull off and when we might be able to pull off. As Provost Oliver and others have said, it's tough managing the unknown. But I do want to make clear, though, that our goal, whenever it might take place, our goal is that every graduating student will have the chance to walk across that stage whenever we can actually have that event take place. So like I mentioned, we continue to work with and monitor the guidance of health agencies, the governor and others to see how this shelter in place changes the requirements as far as having the number of individuals that can be together at any one time, and of course, social distancing issues also. So again, these are all things that we're considering, but again, with the goal of making sure that every student at some point will certainly have the chance to walk across that stage. So one thing that I am really excited about is that we, knowing that we're still working through and waiting for guidance related to a physical commencement, is that we are working on having a virtual celebration. And we're trying to gain feedback from all sorts of stakeholders on campus as to what that can look like. But I am excited that we're going to be able to offer that. We're, like I mentioned, in the beginning phase of this work, and so we're figuring out the details and figure out the timing. But I am excited that we will be able to have something this spring that our graduates will have as a celebration and something they can share with their families. So more to come on that. And with both of these points, we'll be sending out emails to from the commencement office to our graduates soon with additional information.
Thank you so much, Greg. So just to make sure I've got this right, commencement is postponed. There will be something, and there will be a virtual celebration before the actual commencement.
Yes, we're looking at having something, some type of virtual celebration that will be around the commencement time. It'll probably be a little bit after. We're working to figure out timelines. We're nailing that down. But then we're looking at other time periods when we might be able to have a physical commencement.
Thank you so much for that clarification. I appreciate that. It looks like we have covered most of the questions. I'm just checking with my team to make sure that we're covering most of them. Right now, I would just like to kind of go around as a round robin in reverse order of who we've already heard from and see if there's any additional comments or final words that you'd like to provide for our students. Let's start with you, Greg.
Sounds good. Thank you again, Ellen. Thank you for moderating this and the work of IT and the Strategic Communications Office for pulling this off, both this and the faculty staff one. I know it's a ton of work, so thank you so much. You know, I think it's fair to say, and I think we would all agree with this, is that this is not a perfect situation, right? Nobody wanted this. You know, it's a challenge for our faculty, staff, definitely our students, and there's great hardship that's across the board. And it's fair to say also that we would love nothing more than to be on campus right now, having all our students in their classroom, and to have it also a traditional commencement ceremony this spring. But let me repeat that we're really committed to trying to make sure that we have as much of a celebratory event as possible, as soon as possible, for all of our students. What we want is to be able to see all of you walk across the stage at some point. So with that, let me just say thank you. I really, as President Virgie mentioned, your resiliency and your patience, it's really something that is inspiring. And as Amir mentioned, Dr. Dabirian mentioned, that, you know, your success is the reason we all go to work every day. It's what inspires us. And as Titans, we will get through this historic event.
Thank you so much. Amir, do you have any parting words that you'd like students to be aware of?
Absolutely. I want to say that we are the Division of Information Technologies here for you. We are doing our best to make sure you do not have technology bottlenecks or technology issues for your educational mission. We have one of the institutions that have a 24/7 student help desk. The number is 657-278-8888. We are here for you. We are here to meet your needs and all your technology needs, especially in this virtual environment. Technology plays a vital role to what you do. And the entire Division of Information Technology is at your service to make sure all your needs are met. And I'm personally at your service to make sure all your needs are met. And therefore, I want to thank you for your resilience and thank you for what you do. And I want to make sure that you all be safe.
Thank you so much. Harry LeGrand, any parting thoughts?
Yes, so let me just say, as I mentioned earlier, the staff miss you, your fellow students miss you. So please reach out to the Student Life and Leadership Office, the Diversity Initiatives and Resource Centers, the Veterans Resource Center, the Women's and Women's Resource Center, Associated Students Incorporated, the Male Success Initiative is looking for you. Our counseling centers are still talking with students, so if you want to reach them virtually, you can actually do that. The Health Center is still providing hygiene products and other things. The Rec Center is actually providing virtual workout sessions. And I know that you've been using the You at Fullerton app, and so continue to do that. Although your most frequent request on that is for home workout tips. So at least you're being healthy and trying to take care of yourselves. And so we really do look forward to seeing you back on campus soon. Take care and have a great summer.
Thank you, Harry. We have the Dean of Students, Hallie Hunt. Any words from you, Hallie?
Yes, thank you, Ellen. I just want to reiterate what my colleagues have said. Titans, I am so excited for the day that we all get to share the campus again. We do really miss you. And I want you to remember that my staff and I are here for you, even though it's virtual and not in person. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to contact us at deanofstudents@fullerton.edu, and we'll do everything we can to help you answer your questions and address your concerns. Thank you so much, and stay healthy and be safe.
Thank you so much. We do have some questions coming in right now that I'm forwarding. We just need to make sure that you know that the FAQ on the coronavirus.fullerton.edu site is updated every day. Some questions are coming in about clarity on the credit and no credit. We have lists of questions and answers there for students and for faculty. And I understand that we'll be getting some more information from the provost office about that to help students be able to make decisions. Some questions have come in about poor Wi-Fi connections, and I know information technology has some solutions for you, so don't hesitate to reach out to them. Provost Oliver, any thoughts for our students?
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank all of the students for sticking with your education through these very difficult times. We understand that you have the stress of the academics and the stress of your life, the stress of your family, as all of us do. We are all concerned for people. We're all exhausted. We're all working as hard as we can. I just want to congratulate you for sticking with your education. It's really, really important. I also want to thank your student leaders for collaborating so well with the Academic Senate and with us as administrators and with the colleges as we put into place the credit and no credit option for grading. And we will be able to answer questions. The facts are updated all the time. If you have specific questions, if you can submit them to the coronavirus website, we'll be able to answer those specific questions. Also, the Student Success Centers can answer those questions, and your advisors in the departments can also answer the questions. Thank you also for the student leaders for working in terms of getting the W's, the date for withdrawal, extended, and that is really important to help the students. We're hoping that this helps to relieve some of the academic stress. We know that the other stresses you are handling in your resiliency, and if there's any other things that we can do, we really want to. I appreciate so much the gratitude that you've shared with me, and it really means a lot to me because you have expressed how grateful you are for the instructors and for your mentors, for the library, the fact that you can get things virtually, for all of the advisors that are working in a virtual atmosphere. And I appreciate that gratitude that you've shared for me. I want you to know that we're here for you. Your faculty, the chairs of your department, the staff in the departments, your deans, we all are working as hard as we can, as we know that you are, because we really believe in you and we know that you can do this. We know that you will succeed even in hard times. As an academic, I have to just say one more thing, and you'll probably hate me for this, but I hope that you will be able to write down a few of your thoughts as you're going through this particular time in history. I know that you don't want an assignment, but I'm a professor at heart and I can't stand not giving you one little assignment. This is a very unusual time in history. And if you can just jot down a few notes, trust me, when you get to be a grandma and grandpa, those are going to be good notes for you to be able to talk with your grandchildren about.
Thank you so much for those words. We are collecting stories. We have an entire website devoted to this experience, the Cal State Fullerton faculty, staff, and students as witnesses to this historic event. So you can get to that from fullerton.edu or blog.fullerton.edu. So thank you for that great reminder, Provost Oliver. We've got a couple more questions coming in that are very specific about housing contracts and fall sports. So I'm sure that we will be able to answer those on the frequently asked questions website of coronavirus, fullerton.edu. Now we'd like to ask Kristen Jasko if you've got any last words for students. Kristen?
I just wanted to say just thank you again, and I echo what all the others have said as well. I really appreciate your patience and understanding during this time. And we too, in Parking and Transportation, are excited to see everyone back on campus, and we look forward to your return.
Thank you so much. Last words from you, President Virgie.
Well, I don't want to give too short a shrift to the new questions that are coming in with respect to IT and the grading policy in particular. On the IT piece, you heard what Dr. DeBerian said. He said, we will help you. So if you need a laptop, you can get one. If you need a MiFi, which is a mobile Wi-Fi space, you can get one. If you need a charger, you can get one. If you need a cell phone, you can get one. And we are looking for your input on how we can help you for IT connectivity. We will step up and we will help you out on that. I have experienced that firsthand with students asking me to help them and seeing what our IT folks will do. So if you're having IT problems, please use the Fullerton IT website to help you to navigate that. And you heard what Amir said. He's there for you personally, so you've got it right from his lips. On the grading, the pass no pass grading option, I want you to be proud of this. I think we have the most student-friendly and student success-oriented change in our grading option anywhere I've seen in the country. What we have now is we've got an ability for you to continue to take your classes, continue to work hard in them and do your best, and for your faculty to then give you a grade in the class. And if after they've given that grade, you have a 10-day period to decide whether you want that grade or you want to go pass no pass. So after the final, after the grade is awarded, you get to make an informed decision. There are ramifications for going from a grade to pass not pass. If you are receiving financial aid, if you are a student athlete, if you're looking to grad school, and for certain prerequisites. So we will want you to talk to an academic counselor and look at the frequently asked questions. And before you make those grade changes, you will have to answer some questions to be sure that you are making an informed decision. But it will be your decision. You are in control of your destiny here. So that's a really important thing. Collaboration. I just cannot say enough about how we as a Titan family have worked together through this pandemic so far, and I know we will do so further. I cannot say enough about our faculty and staff and the night and day work that they have done, all the way from our senior VPs all the way down to everybody that's working on this to make sure that we are continuing to provide robust learning for our students while still protecting the health and safety, those touchstones that we look at. And I am amazed by the resiliency of our students and everything you're doing. So first, students, I want to make sure that you know that this town hall is not the end of questions and answers. It's only one mode by which we can answer your questions and adopt to your needs, make changes that you can suggest to us. You can send us emails, Twitter, you can talk to us on Zoom. There are lots of platforms for you to get in touch with us. And I encourage you to keep asking questions and keep sharing your challenges and your successes, because it's by learning about the challenges that you have that we can adjust to make sure that we meet your needs. Second, I want to thank you, our amazing students, one last time. Some of you who know me know that my hero is Bobby Kennedy. And one of his quotes that I often think about in particular, since I've become a Titan, is the purpose of life is to contribute in some way to making things better. Students, since all of this has started, each of you individually and all of you collectively have been contributing in so many ways to make a difficult situation better for us here at Cal State Fullerton, but in our communities. You've done some, refused to fold in the face of this pandemic. You're coming in, you're working hard. I hear from you that we have the best attendance in classes that we've ever had, and you are proving that Titans step up when things get tough. You've done this by homeschooling your younger siblings at home. I know you're doing that. I've heard about what you're doing. You've done this by becoming the breadwinners for your families. You've done this on the front lines, working in hospitals and grocery stores. You've done this by inspiring our faculty and our staff, and you've done so as mentoring to the next generation of Titans that are coming. You've done this by showing the world what it takes to overcome and succeed in the face of pretty significant adversity. We know what it takes. It takes tenacity. It takes grit. It takes kindness and collaboration. It takes service, and it takes being a servant leader. In other words, it takes a Titan. And you guys are those Titans. Thanks for being those Titans. Now, what you've done so far, but also what you're going to do. We have a long way to go still. But I feel so confident and blessed to know that we're continuing to work toward those goals together. That goal of making sure that you persist, that you stay, that you're successful in your academics, that it's a robust experience for you. And as Greg said, you cross that graduation stage. I want to be there. I want to be there to shake your hand. So stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, stay positive. We will get through this, and we will be amazing together.
Thank you so much, President Fergie, for your leadership in this very challenging and difficult time. Thank you so much for each of the members of the cabinet, the senior executives of this university who have been working tirelessly to try to figure out how to make it all go away, or figure out how to work through it. Thank you so much to each and every one of you students who are persevering through this. And thank you for asking the questions and being involved. This is your university. We are all here for you. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Keep the questions coming in. We will route them to the right place. We will get your questions answered. Thank you so much, and take care.
Go Titans.